Hey everybody, welcome back to another YouTube review. Oh my God, I'm looking at the reflection on this thing. That is crazy. Okay, well, the reflection is going to be the order of the day. I'm gonna throw this together real quick before I have to leave and pick up my daughter from school. But this is the Sideshow Collectibles exclusive Cinderella from Fairytale Fantasies, inspired by the art of J. Scott Campbell. Those of you who follow my channel know that I collect or try to collect almost every piece in the line, and I've done reviews on quite a few, from Jasmine to Tiger Lily, Little Red Riding Hood. And it's sort of an interesting thing because these lines are going in parallel. It first started with the garage kit enthusiasts, with producers sort of taking the artwork of J. Scott Campbell. And J. Scott Campbell created a lot of this artwork. I like to think almost exclusively from these special calendars that he illustrated for. And I guess, unfortunately, at least from my point of view, that they stopped doing it after a while. And so I still have all of those calendars. They're almost like, I guess, collector items. They're not, sealed or anything, but I still have all those calendars because it's the source of, I think, like 99%, if not 100% of all of the art that later on served as inspiration and source material for these statues. And so in the beginning, the garage kit producers were doing them. You would have people who, these producers who would then commission a sculptor. Most of the time it was Roberto, who is, in the garage kit world, he's very famous and has a great reputation for sculpting females, especially. And so he would sort of, build and sculpt these wonderful statues based on the art of J. Scott Campbell's Fairytale Fantasies, and then it would be obviously produced in very, very limited numbers. And one of the first, I think, that really took off was the Ariel, Little Mermaid. And this went on for a while, and then Sideshow kind of stepped into the game, and they started, doing their own licensed material, working officially with J. Scott Campbell. And that sort of put, of course, a damper on a lot of the garage kit producers because, Sideshow is a big name in the industry, and there's a lot of things going on. You don't want to disrespect Mr. Campbell, the artist. And here you have a very large company doing things the right way, paying J. Scott Campbell royalties, getting an officially licensed line of merchandise. And I think, essentially, mostly out of respect, a vast majority of the producers, and there's only a couple, they just decided it wasn't worth it because, again, if you can buy an officially licensed piece from Sideshow, it's not very likely then that you would want to do the same for the garage kit, for instance. And so Sideshow sort of took over. I bought from both sides, and I do kind of like the fact that Sideshow is taking over because there's just more consistency in the quality of the casting and the paint, even at the factory level, and the release schedule is a bit more consistent as well. The only guy I know who's still doing these custom garage kits off the Fairytale Fantasies is slowing down a bit. He's based in Singapore, and he has his own Cinderella, being done, that's kind of working through the process. And I think he told me there was a Beauty and the Beast, which, I'm pretty excited about because that's considered a pretty marquee centerpiece project. And then I think Little Bo Peep and Rapunzel. So I think he's got 3 in different stages of development. The Cinderella version, I think, is still waiting to be casted. And then that's about it. And I don't know anybody else in the garage kit world who's doing any more. I thought that Sideshow did a whole bunch, but after I got Cinderella in, I kind of went back on their website, kind of looked around, and I realized like they haven't really done that much. I mean, we have the little Ariel, Ariel the Little Mermaid, and its sort of color variations, and then we got Tinkerbell, we got Alice in Wonderland, and now we have Cinderella. And I think that's it, actually. We have a lot of variations, a lot of color variations. We have a color variation for Tinkerbell, a color variation for Alice, and I just did the Queen of Hearts variation not too long ago. Put up that on YouTube. But that's it. And then in the future, we have the Red Riding Hood and the Evil Queen. And both of those appear to be a little bit more scaled back. The original Red Riding Hood kit had wolves and a forested base. This one is more museum pose from Sideshow, and the Evil Queen doesn't have Snow White. They might make her later as a companion piece, I don't know. But I have, of course, the whole diorama that John Allred brilliantly painted, and that's in queue for review. So as it turns out, there hasn't been that much from Sideshow. I do hope that they continue to sort of release, because those series of art from J. Scott Campbell, there's a lot out there. I mean, he did dozens of them, and a lot of them are masterpieces in my mind that would be amazing if made into statue form. And ironically, that's almost the only thing I buy from Sideshow these days, is this. So Cinderella came quite a few months ago, but I just haven't had the time to open her up. I recently just kind of did it. And as with a lot of the Fairytale fantasy lines for the original release, not the color variations, but for the original release, the exclusive is basically this very kind of classy, and I don't know what to call this thing. It's like a stainless steel plaque. And it's not like cardboard or anything. It's pretty, it's again, like metal. And it's basically a picture of the original control art that the project was based off of. So this is obviously Cinderella as her dress is melting at the stroke of midnight. You can see the words down there. I'll have to look at it later. I don't even know what that says. I mean, it's like, maybe it's I think it's the signature, J. Scott Campbell. And there she is. And again, this is from the calendar. And the exclusives have this variation. None of these are hard to get, which I kind of appreciate. They're all limited in the thousands, if you want to call it limited. So if you want them, you should be able to get them. There's certainly none of that, like fighting online against scalpers or whatnot. So there you have it here. And then this is the statue representation of her. So first of all, starting from the base, very kind of nicely idealized base. I like the sort of the filigree and the relief sculpting here, the pumpkin. You can see a little bit of the weathering of the steel. So it alternates between the pumpkin and a flower. I would assume it's a rose. You can kind of see the vines, and it just alternates between the two. So very classy, I really like it. And then they're quite daring. They extended sort of the design onto a mirrored base, which, that's kind of gutsy, because the base, first of all, you can break the base, right? The glass can crack, and then you can smudge it really easily. In fact, when I got it out, it was really badly smudged. I would assume by the person who packaged it. So I wiped it off with a nice cotton wipe. And I think that the mirror is there to kind of allow you to look, if you so wish, at her undergarments from the base side. I think that's the idea. I'm kind of trying to showcase sort of what it would look like, but it's kind of hard to do because obviously, her dress is in the way. But I think it's to give you that particular view. If you want to see, there it is. You can see the mirror reflection there. I think that's the point of it. It's kind of a little bit cheesecakey. So now you see, of course, her bare legs. You see her slipper. I think it would have been a nice touch if maybe they got rid of one of the slippers. I think it would have made it a little bit difficult. But I guess from the mythology of it, that's not really appropriate, because the dress is melting and the slipper hasn't disappeared yet, right? She loses the slipper as she's running away from the ball. But it's beautifully sculpted, very nicely painted legs. You can see the panties, I guess, over here, tastefully done. You can see her bottom right there. So, again, nicely done, well painted. I think the flesh tones are done very nicely. You can see it's melting off of her arms as well. Everything's just kind of slowly melting. You can see it's melting off of her belly. Nice design overall, you know, in terms of the dress. I think it's pretty faithful to the control art. And then here she is with a tiara, beautiful expression, beautifully painted and beautifully sculpted. You have the choker as well. The hair is, I think, PVC. The portrait is resin, but that single strand might be PVC to prevent easy breakage. The ears, a little bit soft. I've seen, of course, better ears, but it's reasonably anatomically correct, even though the detailing in there is a little bit soft. But I mean, I'm an ENT physician, and so my standards are probably a little bit higher when it comes to ear anatomy, let's just say. But overall, you know, it's a very solid, basic sculpt, but she's very pretty. The mascara of the eyes are done very well. The paint job is, you know, decent. For something like this, this is no Predator paint job. We don't need, you know, tour de force painting here and shading. We don't need layers and layers of airbrush. This is not an Iron Man statue. We're looking at gloss and, you know, finished car paint, you know, our car paint finish. This is Cinderella, right? Very, very basic stuff. So overall, I'm reasonably pleased with the paint job. I definitely love the design, but of course the design is based off of the control art. So the sculpt is definitely a beautiful, you know, interpretation of the control art. I'm going to back up and then slowly turn her around so that you can sort of see her from a panoramic view again. So you can see that this is a very, very nicely accurate sculpt and interpretation of the control art. Beautifully done. So here again is what it's supposed to look like, and then this is the artist's interpretation. I think they did a bang-up job turning this into three-dimensional life. Now, in terms of the nitpicks, I feel like when we look at it from this distance, it looks great. But then if you kind of get a little bit closer, I feel like the disappearing dress, and this is supposed to be like almost like pixie dust or sparkly magic. But when you look at it too close, you can see that the effect comes off being a little bit cheap and plasticky. It's like almost something you would expect from like a toy from the Shop Disney store or from a Disney store at, you know, at the parks. This is clearly PVC, and they had to do that obviously to prevent breakage because it would be, you know, way too delicate. But close up, it unfortunately does spoil the effect. And since the dress has to be consistent with the entire material, the same kind of problem comes up here, where again, it kind of gives you this cheap plasticky look, okay? And that's a bit unfortunate. The same thing with her crown. So everything that's supposed to be, see, because the problem is this dress is supposed to be glowing. It's supposed to be magic, right? It's supposed to be made out of magic. And unfortunately, it kind of looks like it's made out of plastic. And look at the magic here on the control art, and then just kind of compare that with what we got here. And I think that this is, you know, a bit of a problem. I don't know if this problem can be completely rectified even by a repaint. Maybe so. I mean, I would never discount what somebody of John Allred's experience and expertise can do. But, you know, again, I just like to say that there are limitations. It's really hard to make smoke look great. It's hard to make mist look great. They all just kind of wind up looking like marshmallows or something. And their attempt to create this kind of magic, you know, swirl using this effect is a little bit questionable in my mind. But again, if you come back like this is where I'm, you know, sort of filming from here, then it looks amazing. You can definitely tell that this is a melting ballroom gown. But I just wish that there was another material they could have used. I don't know what they could have done. Maybe try to paint a more translucent paint. Maybe try to bring it to the next level. Make it glass or something like that. I mean, I know I'm talking crazy talk because that would really increase the price. But maybe something to be done just to make this dress look a little bit better. And so I am a little bit interested in what the kit version of her looks like. The kit version, by the way, is not this particular art. It's from, I think J. Scott Campbell painted two versions of Cinderella. One like this, and the other one is her, I think, actually running down the balcony or something. So I think that's the kit version. And I would be interested in seeing how that comes out, and then what effect can be created by some of the paint masters who will be building something like that. And of course, the kit version is going to be way more ambitious and detailed with a lot more diorama-like properties than this piece, which is more of a museum simple pose. And overall, I mean, I have to give this a 7 out of 10. I really like the design. I really like the sculpt. I like their interpretation. I love the base. I just feel, again, that the challenge of trying to transition something like this, where you're literally looking at a magical dress falling apart and trying to turn it into statue form, while a valiant effort does fall a little bit short. And I think it falls short on the material and on the paint app. So that's sort of my review of the J. Scott Campbell's Cinderella from Sideshow Collectibles. This is an exclusive. I believe it's still available on their website if you're so interested. But overall, I do like her, but I kind of wish that they might have tried to, I kind of wish there was a different solution for this. But yeah, from, again, normal viewing distance, it looks pretty amazing. I hope you enjoyed that review. And I think I'll be doing Tinkerbell next. Since we're on the J. Scott Campbell kick, we might as well just finish that up. And until then, do take care.